Welcome to Start Lines and Swag Bags. The airing of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to replace advice from professional medical or training staff. Thank you for listening and your support of the Flying Pig Project.
Hello and welcome to this Tuesday's guest episode of Start Lines and Swag Bags. Actually, tonight we're going to call it Start Lines, Swag Bags, and I have my phone balanced in the most precarious way on a box of Kleenex, which has got a cheddar cheese type holder on it. So I'm just throwing it out there. Tonight's episode, I messed up. I messed up my order of things. Because if you watched Sunday, 2 days ago, you heard me say that I wasn't going to actually out the person specifically who borrowed the megaphone at Buckingham Fountain. I did allude to the fact that he's a mayor. I did allude to the fact that he was either the mayor of Chicago or Lincolnwood, but I didn't name him. And apparently in Felix's episode, which was recorded weeks back, we outed him completely. So this is totally out of order. I think Felix is actually the one who took the video of John with the megaphone that I showed in Sunday's episode. So maybe this is just going to come full circle, and this will be the end of the megaphone debacle until someone gives John another one, which will ultimately happen. I did just get done watching and listening to Felix's episode, and I'm really excited for his episode. But, in a lot of ways, Felix is kind of a cautionary tale. When he tells you his story about what he has done, he refers to himself as someone who needs to touch a stove to know it's hot. And you can tell by some of the stories he is going to talk about that that's exactly right. Some of the efforts he's done and the distances he's completed and other things, if you were to ask a rational person, they would think you were crazy. But he also, points out some really solid advice. If you're talking to someone who hasn't done or hasn't experienced what you're trying to accomplish, be very careful about the advice you're given. And I think that was my, biggest takeaway from his episode. You're going to enjoy this because he describes himself as an introvert, and was very wary of meeting the Swifters the first night he went. But I will have to tell you, last year he won the award for Swiftiest Swiffer because Felix has hands down got to be one of the friendliest, most welcoming, drop everything in the moment to help you person that I have the pleasure of knowing. So that being said, without any further, please welcome Felix to the show. Hello and welcome to another Tuesday episode of Where is my camera? Where am I watching? Start Lines and Swag Bags and Bloopers. It's all about that tonight, folks. I don't know what camera I'm looking at. I may be looking across the room. You'll have to tell me if you watch this to find out. But I am super, 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 super excited for the guest I have tonight because without even talking to him yet, I know exactly some of the stories he's going to share because I think I know him that well, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So please let me welcome Felix to my show. Felix, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rachel.
Please tell us anything and everything about yourself.
So I've been running 7 years now. I was just kind of getting prepared for the podcast. I was looking back at some of my stuff, and running wise, I started about 7 years ago. Myself, worked healthcare 20 years. So coming up on 20 years working healthcare. I like to call myself I'm formerly unathletic. Extreme couch potato back then. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you continue and call yourself a couch potato. But first,
That's from.
I want first and foremost you to tell everybody what you did on your birthday this year.
I ran 50 miles for my birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, because
And well, I think that came about because this is the 4th year, I think, where I PR my long run on my birthday, and 4 for 5th, and it started with the 15-mile run. And I think the next year after that, it was like 19 or something. And then I did 2 years ago, I did a marathon on my birthday, which was fun solo on the Smoky Valley Trail. And then last year, I did 40 miles for my 40th birthday, which was a complete disaster. I learned a lot, though. That was a learning experience. And so I thought this year we would try again, but make it harder. And we did, and it went a lot better than it did last year. We had a lot of fun.
If I'm not mistaken, you did Chicago.
I did 12 days before my birthday. And I did the same thing last year. It was just Chicago was maybe a 3-week window last year. So I actually had a shorter window this year.
Okay, well, I'm impressed. Okay. What else would you like to share about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, I started running 7 years ago. We were at a party with my cousins, and I found out that they all did the Cinco de Mayo together for like, they had done it like 3 or 4 years together as a group. And I had never been invited, and I wanted to know why. And because I didn't even know they ran. And they're like, well, we didn't think you'd be into that thing. That was because I wasn't into that thing back then. And so that I don't, in the memory I've made up in my head, somebody says, we don't even think you could finish. And so that was kind of like, and I honestly, thinking back, don't know if that was said or not, or that's just something I made up in my head to like get going. And got a treadmill, started running, and ran the Cinco de Miler. So my first race was a 5-mile race. And yeah, I think I did pretty okay. Yeah. And that just the whole race environment, the lining up, seeing everybody else out there, getting the cool medal at the end. Yeah, that started a problem. A good one. Yeah.
Here's my question, because we need an answer on a couple podcasts ago. I talked about the Shamrock Shuffle and a bullhorn.
Oh, yeah.
And Sabrina informed me that it was actually Mayor Patel from Lincolnwood who took the bullhorn from the volunteer. But now we don't know if it was you or John.
It was John. I have it on video. I have video of John screaming with the bullhorn at the shuffle, yelling, when I say Swifters, you say Swifty or something like that. Don't remember exactly what was said, but yeah, I have video evidence that it was in fact John.
Nice. And we will be sure to post that video evidence
yes.
when the Insta post goes up for this episode. All right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I ask everybody this. I mean, we know the answer, but how do you know me?
Swifters Run Club.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like literally, like our paths, it's interesting because like John and I were talking that I was the matchmaker that brought him to the Swifters. But you and I honestly would not have met if it wasn't for the Swifters. There was no like tie-in. And I think I'm the better person for having met you because of your story and everything that you bring to the group.
I know. It's a two-way street. I learned so much, and get so much from everybody I interact with at Swifters. Yeah. So I mean, we've had some fun chats and shared a couple beers, and yeah, it's been fun hanging out with you and everybody else there.
Well, I mean, no, it's fine. You can say things like, "Well, Rachel, it's not like you ever come out to Skokie." You can say that because I've commented on that many times. That I don't get out as often, and now, of course, with the time change, it will be less often because driving out on a Tuesday when it's dark.
Well, that just means that when you do, it's a special treat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. All right, so start lines and swag bags. Of course, people have been introducing their best and worst swag, and there's no real like. I don't think there's a bar that's been set for best because best is very subjective. Worst,
for sure.
there's a bar that's been set for worst, hands down. And I'm wondering, and I'll let you know what it was. It was someone was after a race, someone offered to measure them as part of like a weight loss thing.
Height and weight?
No, no. Which is interesting because Nicole is actually she's very tall, but no. And currently that is the bar we're at.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that sounds terrible.
what do you got for me? Good and bad.
Good. Best swag. I was trying to think of stuff that weren't necessarily medals, but everything just ended up being medals, you know. So best I have really interesting is my very first and my very last race medal. Let me duck down here and grab them real quick. So this is what started it all. This is March of 2017, the Cinco de Mayo. And
your opener?
It is. Every year that I've done this every year since, and every year it's a different shape, but it does include a bottle opener. So they have a theme and they've stuck to it, and it's awesome. Yeah. So this very first one started it all. That's why it's my favorite. And this is my very last race that I ran last weekend, Carrera de los Muertos. And it's actually...
Can you say that again slower?
Yeah, Carrera de los Muertos. It's in Pilsen, and so it's actually a photo frame, and it has a little kickstand to put it up on your mantle somewhere.
No, there's the other word. What is it? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, on a bookshelf or something. On the ledge. You mean like the altar, the ofrenda? Yeah, yes. So you could put it up on your ofrenda for sure. Yeah. It is meant for your ofrenda. And so that is my dad, who passed away 12 years ago, and found a little perfect size photo there. So I think it's very cool. So it really like embodies like the spirit of the holiday, and really, really cool. And, a lot of people were out there running for somebody special. And I just thought that this was a grand slam on their part. Fun race too. Awesome race.
The pictures were beautiful of like the vendors selling all of that. But if I remember correctly, you wore 7 layers of clothing.
I had 5. It was 3 too many.
All right. So welcome back. We just had to reboot, make another half recording because I had computer issues yet again. And I thanked Felix for being so patient. And he reminded me that
nothing worthwhile is easy.
Nothing worthwhile is easy.
Yeah.
And I'm able to do this because I have literally the best guests ever. Okay, so I remember we were talking about that you did it in 24 minutes, and you're like, I did it in 23 minutes, and I had 5 layers on it. And I was like, okay. What do you think you would have, if you were like truly racing that? What do you think the time difference would have been?
Like 3 minutes, 2.5 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
We're in like like a right under 21, probably.
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm just going to laugh at that one for a while. All right. So we've done swag. So the next one is advice. And I'm really liking the bad advice people are getting because it's just so bad. But you are free to do best, worst, and this is advice that you've been told.
um, you know, I think for the most part, I think any piece of discouraging advice, I've had a couple. I've run my plans across people sometimes, and sometimes it just seems too big to them, and and I'll get it. Don't do it, or be careful. And you should be careful, but I think that's what my entire journey's been is finding my limit, and then finding it again, and then finding it again. And sometimes that doesn't go great, but I learn a lot. And I'm the type of guy who needs to touch the stove to know that it's hot. You can tell me all day long. I need to touch it. So I need to get burned once or twice to learn my lesson. And I've learned a lot though, and I wouldn't trade it. So the long story short, but worst advice: don't do it. Um, yeah, that's whoever's telling you not to do something. You know, I heard somebody say, if you're getting advice from somebody who hasn't done the thing you're seeking to do, then maybe you should ask somebody else. So really be cognizant of who you're getting advice from.
Those are some really impactful words. And I'm only going to say this. Yes, ever since I've known you, you are the way you describe yourself of having to touch the stove to know if it's hot. I would 100% say that applies to you. And with all of your adventures that you have done, I think the one that I most not roll my eyes at, I don't mean that, but where I classify you in the just the crazy was the last time you did the Goggins challenge.
Oh yeah, done that one 4 years in a row. Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know why, and I may have been inaccurate. I thought last year you had done, because remind me, it's 4 miles every 4 hours for
48
hours.
hours. No, it's
Oh,
4. Yeah, it's so Goggins, David Goggins, he's a ex-Marine ultra runner. In case anybody doesn't know, look him up. Cool dude, great story. His method is not for everybody, definitely not for everybody. But his challenge is 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And this was my 4th year doing it, and so I added a little extra to each, well, not to each run, but I added a little extra to the runs. And I ended up with 52.4 because I wanted to hit the actual double marathon distance.
oh my God. But, okay, but last year, did you do 24 hours last year and 48 this year, or did you do 48 both years?
It's all 4 years I did 48.
But 2 of them I've been following you on Strava, and I see the posts every 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where, and I first of all, yes, if the person you're asking has not done it, they don't have an opinion. I agree with that 100%. The only exception, of course, being, like, I don't know, a doctor. Again, no,
sure.
don't follow us for doctor advice. No. But yeah, that one challenge, I think you were nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
Not. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I like it because it's not a running challenge. I don't think it is. It's definitely a different type of endurance challenge because, I mean, what's it take to run 4 miles? And then the rest of that time is time management with fueling, showering, maybe sleeping, catching a cat nap. So it's more of a sleep deprivation, exhaustion type challenge. And yeah, so, I like to do those a couple times a year. So I would say the 4-4-48. It's my fourth year now. It's tradition. And my birthday runs. So they're kind of like the peak points of my year.
You have very odd traditions. And when I say odd, I mean awesome, but crazy.
Okay.
So that's advice. All right. So we've done swag, advice. Now we move on to favorite racing distance.
8K. People would think that I love running. Really, I've never done an official ultra race. I don't know if that's I've never done an official ultra race. So all of my long distance stuff has been by myself on the trail, with my wife crewing me along the way, having people meet me up. But my official race distance, the longest one's been a marathon. So I think that would surprise some people that have never run ultra for real. What I would call for real. John, our friend, asked me why I was doing 50 on my birthday and not doing a race, and telling me that I should get some credit for it. I understand what he means. Like, why go through all that effort and not at least get a shiny medal, which is cool. I do want to run a 50-mile race at some point, but 8K is my overall favorite. It's what I've raced the most. It's the shuffle. It's the Cinco de Mayo, and those are races that are perennial at this point. So yeah, the 8K is the distance that I've run the most, and it's almost by default that it's my favorite.
I'm stuck on one thing, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of us have this mentality, and I will tell you, when I lost this mentality, the word official. I haven't done an official trail race, so come on. So I will tell you that from 1 year to the next, I improved a 5K time by 14 minutes. Now, 5K,
That's awesome.
14 minutes.
That's a lot.
Right. The 5K was done during the year of COVID, so it was not official. It was on the actual course, because it's a course that's used by Roselle for their turkey trot and by Extra Mile Running for their Run for the Roses every year. So I've run the course many, many times. And to me, that still counts. It counts as, it's not my PR. I've done it faster since, but it absolutely still counts, even though it wasn't official. So I know, your 50 miler, you didn't do 10, then stop and go and eat and sit and all. You did all 50 straight. So I think it's official.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think, yeah. I think it's official.
Oh yeah, I'll count it too.
Sure. I mean, what would you need to think it's official?
Oh no, I mean, I think I said that because I think I said that because maybe other people may not think it's official. It's like it wasn't a race, but no, I'm always on the side of the miles are the miles. The same thing with people running the marathon. 3 hours marathon is the same as a 7-hour marathon, because 26 miles are 26 miles. I'm my harshest critic when it comes to myself and my pace times and that stuff. But I try, and I don't try. I try not to project that onto others because I know how much work it took me to get here. I didn't like magically appear at this state. Like it's taken a lot of work. I and every runner knows that it takes a lot of effort and solo time, and there's a lot of solo time as a runner. Run clubs are fun and all that, but once you really start to get into the sport, you're gonna spend a lot of time alone. It's
That's
just
true.
what happens. Yeah.
That's true. And I'm really happy to know that, as we're talking official, that you did 50 miles. That's
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah.
in my books, it's 50 is 50.
It's 50 miles. Okay. So now that we've got favorite race distance, I actually do like an 8K because I like a good 5 miles. It's a nice round number.
Mhm.
Pacing,
It's a
it's a nice round. Again, we got round numbers. There's no 0.1, 0.2. I like that. Actually, I think though it's 4.98.
It's 4.98. It is the 8K. It is. It's not 5 miles.
4.98. Okay. So the next question was, if you could meet anybody, famous runner, who would you want it to be?
Courtney DeWalter. I don't know if you know her. She's an ultra runner. She's amazing. You should look her up if you don't know her story. She's kind of unconventional in her style, her training. So it's kind of my vibe. She runs in like long basketball shorts and like a t-shirt. Has hasn't had a coach since high school, so it's never really had a coach, like a running coach. Um, Eats nachos, drinks beer. Like that's my vibe. Yeah, and just doesn't really have a training plan. Just kind of goes out there and does whatever she feels like that day. Um, she won Western States and UTMB, which are long, like 100-mile trail races, both in the same year, in the same season. In 2017, I think she won the Moab 240. So you're running in the Utah desert, and beat the second place finisher by 10 hours.
Wow.
And that was overall. Like that's overall. Men and women raced together. Like she beat everybody, absolutely everybody. I use a lot of her, I guess, philosophy in my running. Where she talks about like getting to a point where you're in the pain cave and kind of not avoiding it, but like exploring it and getting more and more comfortable every time you're there. And she's she's been on a lot of podcasts. I've taken in a lot of her philosophy, and it's really gotten me through some of the tougher parts of some of my tougher runs. So yeah, yeah. People think I'm like Goggins heavy. Like I do love Goggins, but a lot of my running philosophy is actually Courtney DeWalter's running philosophy. A lot of her mantras. That she's fantastic. Everyone should go look her up right now. But after this.
You're not the first person when I ask this question to give me the name of someone who I may not be familiar with. But one of the things that people are tending to point out about the people they want to meet is A, how humble they are, or B, how relatable they are. And I think that just speaks to the running community and our and mindset that's who we want to meet. And that's where we take our inspiration from. I think that's I use the word cool too much, but it really is. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, go ahead. Did you want to add something?
No, I was, what you said about the running community. That's why I guess you're getting that answer. It's the running community. We like to hang out and swap stories, and so why wouldn't you want to meet somebody who's relatable, and you could imagine having trading war stories with her.
Yes. And that's really, over these episodes, that's kind of turning into what this podcast, I think I had the vision to be, is the sharing of stories, people being allowed to share what they want to share, because oftentimes you don't get the audience you want to be able to do that. And I am that audience. 100%.
Me too. Me too. If you catch me at the bar and you want to talk running, I'm all ears.
All right. So now it comes down to the final question. And I have been editing the question because I say favorite race, and it's almost morphed into favorite race. If you could live that experience again, you'd want to live that experience again. Because it's not always about a PR. It's not always about somebody being at the finish line. It's not always about the run. It could be the whole experience. It's like, what do you want? If you could relive that one race, which race would that be?
Last year, Chicago. Yeah, last year, Chicago. Um, Everything kind of came together. It was almost like the peak so far of kind of like my running journey. Even though I did do 50 this year, I think emotionally, like I had peaked. Then it was, I had never really had a coach. I was training with our friend Sabrina. Um, I was about a year and a half or a year and some change into being with Swifters. And before then, I was a huge introvert, never really went out and hung out with strangers or tried to go out to group events. That was something that was like really foreign to me. And before then, I didn't even really know how to run. I would run the same pace every single time and do the same distance every single time. And being with Swifters and learning from John and Sabrina and everybody there, um, you know, they taught me how to run. They taught me what pacing was, how to switch up my runs. How to have what different runs are. I didn't know there was different runs. And so then, that was the culmination was Chicago. And to have my family there meet me at the finish line and have them see me, work so hard to try to obtain a goal and then actually, meet it and then be able to celebrate with them and the rest of the club. I would relive that day 100 times over.
So I joke sometimes that I wish everyone would watch episodes. First of all, thank you. If you're listening right now, thank you so much for supporting me and listening to me. I do audio and video sometimes. Well, not sometimes. I do audio and video every time. But I do understand that the majority of people are listening. And for those who would watch an episode, I know that a lot of times my facial expressions will be left in while someone's talking. And my facial expressions when you were talking about learning how to run, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, okay, someone taught you how to run. Someone taught you to do a marathon, and then 12 days later, a 50-miler, and told you that was a good idea. So
No.
it cracks me up that you say you didn't know how to run, but look what you've done. It's amazing.
I mean, I had run races by then, but training was same 8.5 minute pace all the time, same distance every day. There was no progression. And I think I progressed more in those first 18 months with Swifters than I did in the prior 4.5, 5 years of running by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if I have one piece of advice for anybody else watching this, find a club, or run with friends, find people that are already doing it. And, they don't have to be coaches, but listen when people are talking and, pick up. Everyone's dropping tips left and right at club.
And I wasn't planning on asking this, but now I'm actually curious. How did you find the Swifters?
I don't exactly remember which race it was, but I remember it may have been a shuffle or a run for the zoo. But I remember seeing the jersey. I saw somebody walking with the jersey. I think it may have been Max, and went on Instagram right away, and Googled Skokie Swifters because I didn't even know we had a run club. And then I found out they were at Sketchbook, and that was the trail I was already running, and I had never actually been inside a Sketchbook, so it was perfect. I was like, I'm already running this route, and I went to run on a Tuesday night at 6 on purpose to hope to like kind of bump into them. Again, like I didn't go out to group stuff back then, and I started running past. And something told me to just turn around and go in and just, don't be shy. Just, I was going through a process of trying to do things that scared me. And so I, introducing myself to strangers was scary at the time. And so it was just one more challenge I was kind of putting myself through, was to go out there and try to make friends as as an almost 40-year-old. Trying to make new friends. It's hard to make friends sometimes.
It is. And, unfortunately, well, I'm going to say unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have not necessarily had great experiences joining or trying to jump into a run club, because the run club has different ideas of what a run club should be, or a different focus, and that's fine. There's run clubs for every type of runner. And sometimes you have to try more than one to find the one that matches your values, your goals, and what you want to do, and what beer you want to have after you run. And
there are some very serious run clubs. Not that we don't take running seriously at Swifters, but I think we don't take ourselves that seriously at Swifters. And I think that's the balance. We take our own personal journeys very seriously, but when we come to hang out, we're coming to hang out and have fun and cheer everybody on. So we're a very social running club. So
that's true. And I am going to make it my mission to be out there at some point soon. Because I do, and what I love is I unfortunately do make it out. Maybe I don't think I've been there in over a year. I was at the farmer's market, but I haven't actually been to Sketchbook in a long time. But the thing is, even though I take these big pauses, I'm welcomed with open arms by friends who, it doesn't matter that I don't come often. It only matters that I'm there at that moment, and let's all, have a drink and have a great night.
Oh, and for sure.
That's the Swifters.
Yeah, attendance is not required.
Not required. All right, but attendance was required tonight on the podcast, and Felix, you absolutely showed up. I appreciate you coming on the show. I have some special ideas coming up that I think I'm going to have you back for, if you'd be willing.
Sure, that'd be fun. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening tonight. I appreciate your support. I'm sure it will be edited wonderfully. And peace out and be safe on the roads.